Good morning all, it's Lynn here from Destiny Fulfilled. I do hope that today finds you well. The card that I've drawn for the collective today is the World card. Now yesterday we had the World card in reverse. Today it's come out upright, and this card signifies it's a really positive, really blissful type energy. It's one where you have successfully completed a project, a phase of your life, a task, an activity, something that is important to you, you have now completed or are coming up to completing this particular thing, however this manifests for you in your life this week. So this card calls for us to remain focused as we take these final steps in whatever this journey is for us. Now, some of you may have already completed, so congratulations if that is the case for you. But I think the majority of us, and the feeling that I'm getting from this card is that majority of us can actually see the end goal in sight, right? The light is there at the end of the tunnel. We're taking those last few steps, last few activities, last few tasks that need to be done to complete whatever this is. Again, this card calls for us to have a look at how we view our life as well. Do we view our life from a cup half filled or a cup half empty? And we all at different times we can be in different both of those different energies, right? But generally overall, how do you look at your life? Is it one from a cup half filled, one of a more positive outlook, or is it one of a cup that's half empty, one that is more on the negative side? So have a think about that and see how, either way, none's right or wrong, right? It is the way that you view the world, right? But how does that help you navigate your way through life when you're viewing that in the particular way that you do? So for example, if you come up with, I tend to view things with my cup half filled, that's fine. But how does that play out in your life? What would your life look like if you looked at it from the opposite viewpoint? So if you have a cup half empty, what would your life possibly look like or feel like, or what experiences might you have if you looked at something with your cup half filled, right? So just play around with that a little bit and just see if there's any room for movement. We all, as I said before, we all have those energies where, we have them where we're looking at it from a more pessimistic view of life, and at other times we can be very much more optimistic, but we all have a tendency to go either way. So understanding what your way is and exploring the opposite of that and seeing what that might feel like for you could be a valuable undertaking. Another thing that this card asks us to do is look at your community. Look at your community and see how you're playing out in your community, right? Are you active in your community? Are you not? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just understanding how you are living your life and expressing yourself within the community that you find yourself within. Do you give back to your community in some way? That's a question that you might want to ponder. And if you don't give back to your community in some way, do you feel called to do so? And if you feel called to do so, what might that look like for you? What activities might you want to undertake to give back to your community in some way, if that's something that calls to you? The next question is, what is something that you can do to remain focused at this time? I know for me, when I can see the end in sight, I tend to lose focus on what I'm doing, right? Because I can see I'm almost there. I've just got a few more things to do and I'm there, but my focus goes out the window. It's something that I've, I won't even say struggled with. It's something that I've lived with all of my life, and that's the way I work. So for me, I have to be really mindful about when I'm in that energy and I can see that the end's in sight, what can I do to support myself to remain more focused as I take those last steps, that last bit of the journey, which I find myself on at that time. So that might be a question that you might want to ponder as well. And how do you acknowledge or commemorate or celebrate the successful completion of something that you've started. I talked about this last week where, you know, we don't have many rituals in our life anymore. We don't celebrate, generally speaking, the things that we achieve. You know, it's get it done, get it out the door and on to the next thing, especially in work life, right? They tend to, well, the companies that I've worked for anyway, they're all about get the job done, get it out the door, start on the next project and off you go. So there's no room there for acknowledgement or celebration, except 2 projects that I worked on. They actually did, and they were major projects, right? And they did, the company that I worked for and the company I was helping with the project that I was working on, it was 2 different companies, they actually took the time at the end of those 2 projects to celebrate the fact that we had completed successfully what we set out to do. And that was really a nice experience to actually, for everybody in the project, it wasn't just me as a project manager that made it successful, it was everybody in the team that made it successful, right? And it was really nice to see them to take the time and acknowledge all of the players in that particular project and thank them for their contribution to making it a successful outcome. Now, that's 2 projects out of countless, right? So, you know, that's an unusual occurrence in my working life anyway. But even if your company doesn't, and if this is work related, right, it might not be, it might be personally related, but is there something that you can do to celebrate, commemorate, or acknowledge the fact that you've completed something successfully? So have a think about that and see whether there's something little, big, medium size that you want to do, something that you want to acknowledge, and what would you do? How would you go about that? How would you, if you're working with a team of people, how would you acknowledge their input? You know, would you take them to lunch and thank them if that's something that you're able to do? Would you, you know, meet with them one-on-one and maybe say thank you personally for everything that they've done? Would you, you know, give them a gift of some sort? Yeah, I'm just throwing ideas out there, right? It will be different for everybody, but have a think about, you know, acknowledging the support that you've received along the way, because most of the time we never do it alone, right? There is always somebody supporting us, whether that's spiritually, emotionally, or materially, physically supporting us as we're doing what we're doing, right? I know the main person that supported me through all of the projects that I've worked on during my working life has been my husband, right? He's been at home doing what he does, working, doing his job, but also supporting my home, my life and me, so that I could give my attention to those projects and, you know, be successful in the outcome because it had my full attention at that time. And without him, there is no way in the world that I would have been able to do that, right? So, you know, making the time to acknowledge those that are supporting us in very direct or indirect ways. Anyway, that is the world for us. And I just want to touch on one of the other meanings for this card is recognizing the interconnectedness of all. And this is an important thing for me because this is something that I believe in 100%, right? Is that we are all connected in some way. Everything is connected. We are just an organism, a part of an organism. We are, you know, a part of the whole. And for me, recognizing and understanding how that interconnectedness plays out in my life has been quite a good teacher for me in lots of different areas. So maybe that's another question that you might want to ponder is, you know, how do you feel that interconnectedness to everything? How does that manifest in your life? What do you feel? What do you think? What does that mean for you in your life? And see whether or not there is something in there that for you as well. Anyway, I wish you all well. I shall see you tomorrow. Bye.